Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. Special welcome to viewers watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can download our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the words Spot and Media. We begin with an update on the weather as the Meteorological Service has downgraded the flash flood warning to a flash flood watch for low-lying and flood-prone areas of all parishes, effective until 5 o'clock this afternoon. The trough, which has been impacting the island, is expected to remain in the vicinity of Jamaica over the next 2 days and will continue to influence weather conditions across the island. Satellite imagery and radar reports indicated that light to moderate showers affected sections of central and western parishes through last night. Projections are for showers and thunderstorms, which may be heavy at times, to continue affecting sections of most parishes, especially central and western parishes today. Flash flooding is therefore still possible over some low-lying and flood-prone areas of Jamaica. The flood rains over the past few days did not spare the community of Runins and Katherine. Dashan Hendricks tells us of the impact it has had on residents.
In Runins and Katherine, it was pretty much the same as the rest of the parish. Rains which doused the island over the past few days made life miserable for its residents.
If you had came out here yesterday, you would have seen water that might have reached you up to your chest, depending on where you would have gone along the road.
The entire area was flooded. As far as you can see, was underwater. You know, that's basically no vehicular traffic could have entered or exit the community.
They want the drains in the community to be addressed, but now the waters have receded. It's time to get back to normal. But this taxi operator says that was a slow process for him.
Well, no passenger at this time. Most of them is either at home or has left the community from the day before, anticipating say it will be flooded.
But as the rains have now eased, another concern for residents.
Mosquito, it's like a plague down here. It's like a plague. Between 5:30 soldier and maybe even now. And that's in the morning and the regular thing in the evening. It's a plague. It's a plague. Big black mosquitoes.
Dashan Hendricks, TVJ News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says with flood events becoming more frequent in recent years, the country may be forced to rethink where we build. He was speaking while on tour of flood-affected areas in St. Catherine and St. Anne yesterday.
There is no assessment as yet of the damage caused by recent flood rains, but as the cost is to be borne by the budget, the Prime Minister is already signaling that cuts will come in some areas.
We do have provisions for events like this, but certainly we did not budget for anything of this magnitude. So there will have to be some reallocation and recasting to meet the demands.
He says the government will not be able to repair all the damage at once. What the government is concentrating on doing now, apart from clearing blocked roads, is getting people affected more comfortable to help in the recovery process. The Ministry of Social Security has deployed a team to help.
They have done their preliminary work by giving out food packages and care packages, and the real assessment begins, and persons will be assisted with mattresses, 2-burner stoves and a cash grant. Can't say how much that is, it depends on the severity of the damage, but we are certainly out there and we are doing our part.
Minister Shahini Robinson says other areas which are not accessible by road are having supplies airlifted. But as such weather events causing floods become more intense and extreme, the Prime Minister says the infrastructure may need to be updated and Jamaicans must be careful in choosing where to build homes and businesses.
The cost of building the infrastructure is going to become far more expensive than before. So the solution isn't always to build more costly infrastructure. The solution could be that we are smarter in how we choose to develop our urban and rural areas. Living on the hillsides, living on the riverbanks, living close to gullies, living in flood-prone areas or in low-lying areas. The citizens themselves can make decisions about the best and safest place to choose to live.
Athalia Reynolds-Baker, TVJ News.
Thanks, Athalia. And as communities try to deal with flooding following days of heavy rainfall, a warning from the National Water Commission, NWC, that the sewage system should not be used as a channel for flood waters. Representatives of the NWC issued a warning as they say improper use of its sewage system continues to create a challenge for both the entity and the customers. NWC Corporate Communications Manager Charles Buchanan says the company continues to struggle with persons illegally dumping inappropriate items into its sewage system. In light of the impact of the recent rains, he's warning that even flood waters are not to be channeled into the system.
Opening the sewers, the manholes, to drain stormwater from their yards is not acceptable and is not appropriate, and actually is punishable under the regulations and under the law.
He says the illegal practice also sees household garbage being dumped into sewer pipes.
We have seen people place in their large pieces of lumber, bricks, bags filled with garbage, things from entrails and feathers from chicken rearing operations. We have seen just about everything you can imagine. The sanitary napkins and the condoms and so on, those are always there. All of those rightfully do not belong in the sewers.
The NWC says 90% of the problems residents face with sewage flowing onto streets and backflowing into yards and homes is directly attributed to this. Commercial entities are also in violation, as he says some companies dispose of large volumes of grease and chemicals, which also creates a problem. The NWC says it will be launching an educational campaign dubbed Bag It, Bin It to educate customers and the public in general. The private sector organization of Jamaica, PSoj, is estimating that the country is facing losses of up to $2 billion following this week's heavy rains. It has based its figures on the impact of the rains on the country's infrastructure as well as productivity. CEO of the PSoj, Dennis Chung, spoke with our news center.
The costs that we don't look at very much are the indirect costs. So the cost in terms of loss of productivity and the GDP losses, that is significant. Cost in terms of personal losses and losses to insurance companies. So cost to the country of something like this could very well be in excess of $1 billion if we look at our $1 to $2 billion.
Meanwhile, Mr. Chung says the government should ensure that the country's infrastructure can withstand the effects of certain natural disasters.
Well, what I'm urging the government to do is, for one, government need to start with some forward planning and not just look at costs in terms of what the cash spend is, but do some risk analysis. We expect that we're going to get heavy rains now and again. We expect that we're going to get a hurricane now and again. We have an agency like ODPEM. What is our preparedness in terms of our infrastructure? If we have a category 3, for example, or we have heavy rainfall, what is the potential damage to the infrastructure? What is the potential loss of GDP?
The National Works Agency is hoping to reopen the Bagua Gorge later today after working since yesterday morning to remove tons of sand and dirt deposited on the roadway during Tuesday's flood rains. NWA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw told RJR's hotline that workmen have removed 100 truckloads of debris from the gorge since yesterday. Mr. Shaw said they had hoped to reopen the gorge last night, but unruly motorists broke through the barriers and disrupted cleanup efforts. This morning, the teams worked to clear the remaining mud by washing the roadway for safety reasons. On Tuesday, the Rio Cobra burst its banks and covered the gorge in several places, prompting authorities to close the roadway. In the meantime, progress is also being made to get roads cleared to facilitate vehicular traffic in parts of St. Mary. Landslides covered roads in several areas of the parish, including Lewisburg, Newport, and Barracks River.
We have some other roads within the division. The new Mount Vernon Road is still blocked. The road from Brenner to Platfield is blocked. Clark Castle, that section from Coffee Gully to Border is blocked. Yesterday, Bernard to Freetown, that one has been cleared. That was also blocked. We have challenges in some other areas of the parish as well. We have the Wood Park Bridge that is now closed to vehicular traffic. We have several areas in the Castleton division that were blocked but are now cleared.
The Port Maria mayor said a shelter was opened in the Kirk United Church to accommodate those affected by flooding but has since closed. Other areas which were blocked by landslides are being cleared and breakaways rebuilt.
Some of the roads that based on the breakaways will need walls to be built. So the Road and Works Department will be doing that assessment so we can send estimates to the ministry to see what funding will be available to solve some of these issues. JPS is in the process of restoring light in a number of communities. Mount Vernon and these Lewisburg and such areas have not had light from yesterday. They are in the process of restoring light to a number of communities.
In other news, Agriculture Minister Karl Samuda has sought to clear the air on the controversy surrounding the planting of Mombasa grass on his farm in St. Katherine. He has also addressed the issue of the dismissal of the Jamaica Dairy Development Board CEO Hugh Graham. The minister was allowed to make a personal statement on the matters during the sitting of the House of Representatives Wednesday afternoon. Mr. Samuda admitted that 14 acres of the grass were planted on his farm in Holness, but says he did not use his position as minister to benefit from the program.
It raises questions, it gives rise to speculation, and in that regard, it is unquestionably an error on my part not to have safeguarded myself appropriately.
A man was shot dead and 2 illegal guns seized during a reported gun battle involving the police and gunmen in Maypen, Clarendon yesterday afternoon. Superintendent of Police David White, who is in charge of Clarendon operations, gave an account of what transpired.
The police was doing a patrol within Hazard Drive today when they approached an area, vicinity of train line, where several men were seen with high-powered weapon. There was a gun between police and these men. At the end of that gun battle, the one man was suffering from gunshot wound.
The police seized an AK-47 assault rifle and 9mm pistol, along with 40 rounds of ammunition following the incident. Meanwhile, Superintendent White says the police will continue to monitor the area, which he says is a hotspot for criminals.
As criminal gang seem to use that area as a safe haven, started to build their own camp in that space.
The identity of the man killed remains unknown. And we go on to sports. A number of local-based players will be given a chance at this year's Caribbean and Gold Cup tournaments. One of those expected to get the nod is schoolboy prodigy Alex Marshall.
Being called up to the national setup is nothing new for Alex Marshall. He's been there before with previous coach Winfried Schaefer. But he says this time around seems more intense.
Today our training was rough. I got a feel of what it takes to play Premier League today. The intensity was very high, not what I'm used to, but you know I'm coping with and I'm working harder each day.
Marshall has also decided to go pro after resting the idea of going back to school.
It wasn't that easy decision, you know, but with the help of my mother and and others, I think that I would take the chance, to just do it, and if it don't work out, which I'm not hoping that it doesn't, but things happen, but I'm taking a chance of going pro.
So playing for the national team would give him that window of opportunity.
Well, I don't get any offers yet, but I'm working hard and and putting in the work and doing the job for my team and with the help of my teammates, of course, and hopefully I get to be seen by coaches overseas and agents, so I'm looking for opportunities.
And look like it's a point beyond me. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.